Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is MMR battle, this time Archon 5 Luna versus Divine 1 Luna. The game starts with a great showing on how different MMRs deal with the offlane pool. If you pay attention, the Divine player chooses to last hit close to his tower, while the Archon decides to chase. The Archon player actually participates in 2 kills, but was it worth it though? While the Archon player has 100 more gold, the Divine player is pretty much one level ahead of the other Luna, and considering that the Archon player is going to be on a duo/tri lane with players of the same caliber, we will see her levels being affected a lot. If the first kill they went for was first blood, it could be worth it, but chasing against heroes like that is never the best option. In fact, the Divine player should be ahead in both gold and experience, but missed some last hits. We also see another huge mistake from the Archon 5 player. Instead of focusing on creep equilibrium and trying to fix the lane, she goes on with her supports to chase for a kill, and what happens here is that the Archon player should be attacking dire creeps non-stop to compensate for this huge dire creep wave that is starting to form. Instead, she is lost and mainly going for denies. She could be attacking those HP creeps, but since low MMR players have the tendency to only attack to get last hits, what ensues is a huge creep wave, and the situation gets even more aggravated because of the Archon level pool that we witness. And while you can say that it was the support's fault, Luna had all the means to control the creep wave, but since her mentality was way too kill oriented and she didn't account for the extra number of dire creeps forming, not only that player takes a lot of damage, but misses a ton of last hits. And when all is said and done, let's compare both players again. Considering the magic one, in this time frame, the Divine player farmed only 100 gold more than Luna, and my point here is that early game last hits are incredibly overrated, and you're going to see how the Divine player is able to recover way better than the Archon one, and a lot of it is due to experience. And bear in mind that he last hitted horrendously, like actually terribly. A big part of it is the way better executed offlane pool that Sand King accomplished, and because of the 2 range creeps and the fact that he didn't last hit from closer range made him miss a ton of last hits. Since we're mentioning the net worth difference between 2 players, I feel like we need to mention that the Archon Luna already has gold for Aquila and boots, but chooses to not buy anything. Not only that, decides to man up here without buying any items, which means more gold is lost. Going back to Luna's decision to chase those heroes at the beginning, if you're an Archon player, you have to make use of every opportunity you can to get a lane of free experience, and that was one of them. While the Divine player got level 6 at 7 minutes, the Archon player got it at 9. As a Luna player, you have 2 usual routes. You can get the second point in Lunar Blessing and try to push with your team, or you can max glaives and farm. And the Archon player learned the second point in the aura, didn't use it to gather the towers with her team, even though she was already far behind in levels, which severely hinders her farming power later on. Add to that a Dark Willow that steals her last hit, and now you have a Luna that can't do absolutely nothing to recover from her game. On the other hand, the Divine player is already level 9, which means 3 points in glaives, Mask of Madness, and while there's a lot to blame on Radiant supports, Luna herself did a ton of bad decisions, including getting the second point in aura in a game where she knew she was incredibly experience deprived. You might think that it doesn't change much, but as this game unfolds, you will see how much 3 levels, especially on Luna that doesn't max her farming skills early on, unlike a Sven, until finishing maxing Lucent Beam, changes the game completely. Another mistake from the Archon player was repeatedly coming back to a lane that was impossible for her to farm. In a game that you die 2 or 3 times, it's already too late to go back there. The difference in experience is way too big to be managed, and while Luna can't farm jungle yet, she could have walked to a lane, forced TPs there, and then TP to another lane where she can farm. Instead, she just kept going back, and you can see how many deaths she has already. The Divine player didn't play perfectly either. In an attempt to be as greedy as possible, he ends up failing to capitalize in a lot of great situations for him. This is a 7k gold advantage so early on, even though Dire had a jungle Enigma, and instead of pushing top here, after shrining, knowing that everyone TP'd bottom to defend that tower, the Divine player farms a small camp and then wraps around super weirdly, afraid of something that actually doesn't exist. This game lasted 55 minutes, and I feel like a big part of it taking too long is him being focused in farming and not in effective farming and actually acquiring objectives. We can also see the difference in decision making coming from the 2 players. When Dire finally pushes top and goes for tier 2, Radiant has to respond and Luna gets trapped by a Frogolier, but if you pay attention attention. Burrow Strike, Pango Ult, all the disables get used, and instead of trying to run away against Arbovenom, Dagger, and Caustic Finale, he just TPs away. On the other side of the spectrum, we see not only Luna going for a terrible play here, diving towers against Shaman wards, while having the chance to choose something completely different. There are 3 heroes in this lane, and she had a TP to go push top or mid. Instead dives Dire with a huge number of creeps following her, only to trade her life for an offlane PA. You might think it's worth it because PA has more levels and probably more farm, and maybe it is gold-wise, but the potential of possibilities that Luna had that would yield her and her team more is huge. Even just farming jungle would be better than this, and with Dragonlance as well as 2 points in glaives, that's definitely possible. What ensues is her being chased, still with the chance to TP mind you, but ends up just feeding. The best thing a Luna player can do in the mid game is push waves or towers. What the Archon player didn't really seem to get is that she's not strong enough to power through Dire. In fact, AA is out-leveling her at this exact moment. So while I like that he went top and finally got away from that curse lane, he is sharing experience with 4 heroes here and going for a push that doesn't exist at all. Usually farming jungle in a game where you're behind is dangerous because you will get ganked. But with her whole team there, that's probably what she could have gone for, especially in the top jungle. Just farm the jungle towards a wave where she can push by herself and get levels. What happens instead is she dying to an X that already has Blink Dagger and slowly falling behind everyone. The Divine player, while greedy at the beginning, was way better in choosing the right time to farm or push. Here we see him pushing bottom very aggressively while they have a Shrine Ward, so that's the time he uses to farm the Ancient stack. You push waves to take towers, but if you can't take towers, you want to use the vision that pushing provides to farm the best spots in the map, safely by the way, and he's doing that very well. It's kinda triggering that the Yasha is still in his backpack while he farms this huge stack, but I mean, you probably already did that once. Another good example happens here. Luna has his team with him, ult ready, pushes slightly, but doesn't want to commit to a full-on fight. He starts to get low, knows that Spectre has Blade Mail, and just disengages when the fight starts getting too weird, while it felt like the Archon player just kept going and going, never re-evaluating what he should be doing. That 3-level discrepancy we witnessed at the 10-minute mark jumps to a 5-level discrepancy, and it just keeps getting bigger because of how the Divine player uses the map way better and how he dies less by choosing the right fights. Another thing to mention is how Luna didn't use shrines or fair itself to keep farming. After this dive on X, that works, she TPs straight to the fountain, while you can see the Dark Willow TPs to a shrine and regions there. The Divine player fed himself salves and clarities and made sure to be creating pressure in all lanes at all times. It seemed that even when Luna got decent trades, she would never use the enemy death timers to create lane pressure and thus farm uncontested, or even take towers if possible. If you're enjoying the new series that I created, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below so that I know where I should focus my efforts into. By the way guys, if you want to suggest replays for next week's video, please, there's a pinned comment for you to leave suggestions. As of always, this video is sponsored by Pvgna. My new Tinker Guide is gonna be published very soon, so check the link in the description. I'm coaching via gamersensei, the link is down below. And if you like supporting your content creators via Patreon, I added out a ton of different Patreon rewards, so please, check it out too. I'm streaming every day, and I would love if you guys could follow me on social media because I'm trying to grow in other spaces too. So if you like my content and if you like what I bring to the table, make sure to follow me there. And that's it guys, hope you had a fantastic time watching this video.